Most of y'all know me, but some of you don't, so I'll just introduce myself really quick here. My name is Jolie, like Andy said. And I've been, you could say I've been on a search for something that's missing for over the past 12 years. And I tried lots of different ways to find out what is it that whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm finding out, I'm not really happy. Like there's just something feels like there's something still wrong. And what I'm going to share tonight are a lot of the things that didn't work. And the one thing that I find that has been the root to finding the answer to that question. So that's what I'm going to share with you. Like Andy said, I run my own coaching business, and a lot of what I do is I help people take a look inward, find out who they really are, what they really want. And this is part of, welcome, take a seat. Part of what I do is share some of what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I'm glad that you all are here. I also know that there's a million other things we could be doing on a Wednesday night. And I'm really honored that you're going to spend that with me and spend this hour diving into some really good stuff here. That being said, we're going to go into some deep stuff here. So if at any point during this it's just too much for you, feel free, if you need to, tune out or stand up, or if you just want to detach, you can also just try to count the number of analogies I make during the course of our talk today, and that'll give you a laugh, because I bet you it'll be a lot, and I never know until it comes out. So with that, I'm going to leave some time for sharing at the end. So if there's any questions that come up or any of your own experience that you would want to share, there's going to be time for us to do that and connect over that. But let's go ahead and start. I have a list of things that are here. The question is, what do these things have in common? Low confidence, low self-esteem, addiction, unfulfilling relationships, or maybe just fulfilling relationships that don't last over and over, right? Either one. Unhealthy patterns where you're like, why do I keep doing this? Right? Anyone ever been there? A couple times. Same. Inability to set and keep boundaries. Insecurities, whatever that applies to, right? Insecurities about yourself, your intelligence, your body, your ability to be a friend, your ability to be a partner, whatever it is, insecurities there. Does anybody think of anything that these all have in common? Yeah.
They're related to my life.
He said they're related to his life.
Very much.
By the way, can everyone see themselves somewhere on this chart? Maybe not everything, but like I came up with this from my own experience, where I've been the one with low confidence. I've been the one with, I wouldn't even say low self-esteem. I'd say no self-esteem. Addiction, I'm someone that's in recovery. So that's something personal that I've dealt with. Unfulfilling relationships, woo, buddy. That's been me, and I'll share some more about that as well. These patterns, like why do I keep picking people that are really mean to me? Sorts of patterns. Inability to set and keep boundaries. That's something that I've struggled with a lot. Whether it was at work, not being able to set boundaries, or whether it was in personal relationships. Different insecurities, when that was in relationships, right? Always feeling like I'm not good enough. Always feeling like there's something wrong with me. Can everyone relate with something there? Some of those feelings? Okay. By the way, I don't know if you can see, but everyone nodded here, so you're not alone. Right? Secrets out is like we all struggle with these things. And the thing that these all have in common is that they all have the same root. So you can almost look at these like branches of a tree. And we can specifically go after one or the other. But if we really want to nip it in the bud, the core of it is what we're gonna talk about today. So that's why we're diving into this. At the end of the day, the core of all of this took me over a decade to find. And it's actually really simple. It's one of those cases where it's right in front of you, right? All of these come down to lacking a relationship with yourself. Or lacking a healthy, loving relationship with yourself. Come on, dude, take a seat. So that's what we're gonna talk about. We talked a little bit about that, like that feeling that something's missing, right? So that feeling that like something's wrong. I don't know about y'all, I've had that since I was a kid. This feeling of like just wanting something that's gonna fix me. This feeling I have. So I tried academics. I thought that if I performed really, really well in academics, that would fix everything. I would feel really good about myself. So guess what? I did it. I was on all the honor rolls, gifted and talented, took my AP classes, straight A's. And I only felt worse. Didn't make sense. Because it became a bar, it became a standard. And if I got a 98, I would feel like crap. And if I got 100, that's expected. It's nothing special. Academics didn't work. So when I was maybe 12 or so, I found religion. And I said, it wasn't academics. Religion's gonna do it for me. So the personality that I am, I dove head first. I went to church 3-4 times a week. Because I said, if this is gonna be the answer for me, I'm gonna dive in and I'm gonna do it right. I went to youth groups, I went to retreats, I went to prayer meetings that the adults were going to. I said, whatever I gotta do, I'm gonna find it. There's this desperation that I gotta fix something. I ended up reading the whole Bible by the time I was 15. And I would bring the Bible to school. I was that person. And at the end of the day, I still felt empty. In some ways, I almost felt worse because now I was just taking a look at what a imperfect, the sinner I was in this case. How terrible I am. Like it did not help. Right? So I thought it was gonna like provide some sort of purpose, some sort of meaning. It didn't. So I left religion, but I'm not giving up. So I'm gonna find an answer, right? So around this time, I'm maybe 14, 15, no, like 15, 16 at this point. I found booze. Yeah. It was good. For a minute, and then I realized I really liked booze. Because booze was really good. It helped actually numb out that feeling that something was missing. So again, right? It didn't help. It was making me feel worse. So that's not where it ended for me. I found drugs. And you can imagine where that took me. It didn't make me feel any better. Or I can say it made me feel better for about 10 seconds and then a whole lot worse. But I was always chasing that 10 seconds better. And that 10 seconds wasn't even real. It's this artificially induced feeling that I'm okay. And I just wanted that for my life. It's like, how do I just want to feel okay. I just want to be happy. Drugs didn't do it. So then let's fast forward. I'm 18 and I got clean. All right, so if drugs aren't it, then I'm gonna get clean. Maybe getting clean will be it. The thing they don't tell you, and for those of you who are also in recovery, right, you'll understand, you'll relate. The thing they don't tell you about recovery is that once you get clean, you actually start feeling worse at first. Because you had pain that made you go to the drugs, and now all of a sudden the drugs aren't there to help you deal with the pain. So now it's just the pain again. So I got clean and I'm feeling worse. Right? You don't get clean to feel better, right? You get clean to get better. Right? That's oftentimes you feel a lot worse before you get better. So I got clean, and right, so I'm finding all these things that aren't working. I'm like, geez, I must be getting closer, because I'm knocking a bunch of things off the list here. That's not gonna work. Right? I'm like Thomas Edison, a million ways not to make a light bulb. I'm gonna find it. So I get clean, so I try adventure and excitement, do all these like cool trips, and find all these cool hobbies. Again, doesn't do it for me. There's always something more, right? There's always something when I'm done, it's like a crash and something's missing. So I get into relationships. At this point, I'm 18, 19. Relationships, like, oh, that'll help me feel better. Maybe that's what I've been missing, is just someone that like really loves me. Fast forward, unfulfilling relationships. Again, I was feeling worse. Was in a relationship that actually brought me here to Cleveland. I'm originally from New Jersey, right? Brought me 400 miles away from home, and was here. He said, "Huh, it's not doing it." So I bought a house. We bought a house together. 23 years old, but I bought a house. This is like making it, right? Got a relationship, my soon-to-be fiance. I got a house, I got dogs, I got cats, and I got chickens. I mean, this has got to be it, right? Backyard chickens. By the way, don't get chickens in Cleveland, because it gets really cold and then their water freezes, and then you have to like heat up the water, but the heat can cause a fire and you don't want to do that. So it's just like a headache. So I gave my chickens away when winter came. Long story short, don't get chickens. So I got the house. I remember there was one time when I got my house, I was standing in the backyard. It was like I had the relationship, I had the house, I had like a good salary job. And something in me just wanted to burn everything down. I just felt so empty, even with all this stuff. It didn't make sense. So this desperation is still there. I'm like, what the heck? I get a better job. I start making 6 figures, right? That's what society pushes us, right? It's like we have all this money and prestige and status. That'll do it. End up making 6 figures. I have a panic attack. A total breakdown. So I guess that wasn't it either. So what I'm sharing all of this for is to share a bunch of ways that I've tried that didn't work. And it took me until I got to a real low, where the relationship ended. I no longer had my house, where I was feeling so low and so empty that I was forced to take a look inward. I had to stop looking at everything else that was around me and try to fix and do all of this. And I had to look inward, and I said, like, why am I not happy? Like, what is it with me? Like, what's it gonna take? It was through asking myself those questions, honestly, that started my journey of self-discovery. And that's what I want to share with y'all, is that journey that's changed everything for me. What I was trying to do is find all of these things. This is all the cliche stuff, right? I don't have anything new to really share. I'm sure you've heard it before. I was chasing all this external stuff that I thought was going to make me happy, and I was putting it in my bucket, right? The job will make me happy, the relationship. What I didn't realize is there was a hole on the bottom of my bucket. So I put it in my happiness bucket, and I'm wondering why I'm never happy. Like, why isn't this ever full? I'm putting all this stuff in. Well, it has a hole in it. So what I've come to realize is that that bucket is my spirit. right? I'm trying to do all these things to fill my spirit. But there's a hole. And that hole is my lack of a connection with that spirit, a lack of a relationship with myself. If I'm putting all this stuff in, but I'm not even in touch with who I am, it doesn't matter. So the secret sauce, so to speak, or the quick fix, the magic pill. But I'm sure if you could have a magic pill that would all of a sudden fix all of these, who would want it? If you can deal with one thing that's going to address all of this, I want it, right? What I found is the key to all of that is developing a deep and loving relationship with yourself. I just want to take a couple deep breaths here because I know it's a lot, right? I want to pause, right? What are you hearing so far? What's resonating for you from this so far? Is there anything that you relate with or that you're connecting with that you can start to see yourself in? You want to share? I see you nodding. I see you nodding hard.
Something similar to, I was, I noticed the hole in my bucket and I didn't fall, and so it's very much. Very recently.
Yes. I acknowledge you for that. 'Cause most people go their whole lives never even looking and acknowledging that there's a hole in the bucket. They'd rather stay in denial and just keep stuff in. So for you to just acknowledge, whoa, wait, there's something not here, something missing that's never going to be filled unless I actually do it. It's huge. So congratulations just for that self-awareness that you have, and thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah. What else? Does anyone see themselves in any of this?
I'll also share.
Yeah.
So for my 30th birthday, I was in a 7-year-long engagement. And that ended through a text message. And so I went through a 2-week spiral. I don't remember much of it for sure. My friends really didn't want to be a part of my life in those 2 weeks. I had one that was sitting there and one that was like, absolutely not. I don't want anything to do with that. And then you actually have to realize yourself that you have to pull yourself out of that for sure. And once you get out of that hole, it's about surrounding yourself with people that actually figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this one.
What a keeper. What a keeper.
But I mean, it's more so like you have to want it so much for yourself. Sure.
Yeah. Jeez, yeah, thank you for sharing that, Liz. I love your hair, by the way. But yeah, it speaks to like in so many of these instances, we have to get to this low. It's like we have to hit this bottom. In recovery, we talk about this, right? We have to hit rock bottom before we're ready to stop using it, find a new way to live. Same thing in these situations. Like we normally have to really get to a place where our back is against the wall for us to really look at ourselves. And that desperation, like what you're sharing of like, I have to get out of here. Right? That desperation is like a gift in some sense. And that's the gift that I felt as well. It's just like, I need something. What is it? I'm gonna find it. So yeah, Michael.
I mean, I remember the vacuums for some that empty this, everything was just like a black hole. Not saying it doesn't exist still, but I did recognize it for, of course, right, we talked about this. It's like everyone that comes back to me because when all was left standing, I'm right there. I need to know what's not mine, what's mine, and the difference. For like putting it. And to have expectation on the world around me like I did most of my life because that's what I was told to do, taught to do everything. I wasn't disappointed. Everyone devastation. So kind of I'd rather trip and stumble and fall with the help of others, support, by individual owners, as
Mm.
opposed to try to pacify or masturbate some kind of imagined movie.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like to actually deal with the issue, not trying to just like numb it somehow.
Right.
And these were all different ways for me that I tried to numb it. I mean, all these, alcohol, drugs, addiction to relationships, these are all numbing agents from the pain. And it takes us taking an honest look at the pain and not running away from it, but taking an honest look at it. That then we can get some help. You can see what's really there for us. I'm curious to hear from anyone. Like was shared, right? It takes us like really hitting a low for us to like really be willing to look at this. Right? For us to really look at ourselves, for us to say, who am I? What do I like about me? Who do I want to be? Right? How do I move on from the things that are in my past? It takes us a lot to do that. And normally we have to be in a lot of pain and desperate where we're doing it. But normally there's some kind of fear about doing that. And I'm curious just to hear from y'all and your experiences. What do you think people's biggest fears are about taking an honest look at themselves? There are a couple that I see most commonly. What do y'all see? What's the biggest fear? What's the biggest resistance to taking an active look? Yeah.
That I'm gonna see as I'm as bad as I think I am.
Yeah. So he said that I'm gonna see that I'm as bad as I think I am. Yeah. Did anyone else have one?
I think just we have to dig down into yourself, revisiting the trauma that you had to go through. It's not an easy task.
Yes. Yeah. So she said revisiting all of that stuff from the past, the trauma. Normally there is a lot of trauma. That's why we don't want to look at it. And it keeps us running our whole lives, right? We don't want to look at it. So it's painful. It's difficult. And also there's this feeling of like, there's a monster back there. And it's like we're trying to run away from the monster. I know I felt like that. I had a lot of guilt for things that I had done. A lot of guilt for things that I hadn't done, that I wish I did. I felt like I was the scum of the earth. And in some ways, that's what fueled this falling into all of these other addictions, is I was just trying to run away because it was so painful. I couldn't live with myself. That's how I felt. So y'all nailed it right off the bat, right? Main reasons that we don't want to look back is it's painful. And we're afraid of what we might find. We're afraid that what we find is going to be not too pretty. Yeah.
This may just be from my perspective. I'm afraid of what I missed in the sense of my potential and what I cut corners and procrastinated. And could have been a better version. So I could be happier where I'm at in certain things in life, but there are other things I feel like I could have done this, I could have executed that, I could have been a better version of me. And I'd sit back and wonder, did I sit on my ass too much? Did I, skip this corner too much? That's a personal thing
Totally valid. I think a lot of people can relate. What's the feeling that you feel when you think of, if you were to realize that, wow, I lost so much potential? What's the feeling that you'd be left with?
self-disappointment.
It's heavy. This feeling of like not being good enough. And like, I'm just so like judgment. This judgment, right? Of like, you messed this up, What a fuck up. Can you relate with some of that? Is that some of my hitting it?
It's fractional things. It could be something as small as, why didn't I wake up an hour earlier and start my day?
Yes.
Crap, I didn't do this because I just laid in bed and lazy, and that could wormhole down to other things.
Yeah, so a lot of like berating yourself. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? You're messing up here, you're messing up there. Some of that. Yeah. I hear you. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think that's a very real feeling that a lot of us have is. I know I relate with that, right? It's. My intentions are so high and my expectations for myself are so high. Again, coming back to the academics, right? It's like the expectation is an A+. So anything less than that is a total disappointment. And that it piles right into this conversation where what I realize is it's not about doing everything perfectly. I wake up on time, I do this, I do that, like we're talking about. But it's about having a better relationship with ourselves being a perfectly imperfect human being. Being able to show ourselves some grace, some compassion, right? The way we would do for a friend. So if a friend was an hour late and they overslept, you'd be like, dude, what happened? And they'd be like, dude, I'm having a really hard time. And I'd be like, all right, I'm here for you. I get it, right? How many times do we have a friend that we're so much more loving and accepting and forgiving of than we are of ourselves? Anyone relate with that inner critic that just never lets it be enough? It's just always beating you up for something or another, right? Yeah, that's what we're talking about here. It's not about what's out here. It's about what's in here. And that's what I want to show y'all, the way that I found to start a journey of having a better relationship with myself. To me, that's the best gift that we can give ourselves, is befriending ourselves so that we're not constantly our own enemy in here and in here. Cool. Okay. See, now this Jewish time is totally throwing me off, and I'm like doing math in my head. The clock is 7 minutes ahead on purpose. Okay. All right. So we talked about some fears. We're gonna dive into the steps. Before that, I want to make sure we're clear on what we're building towards. Right? What do we get if we do this work? Because guess what? Sarah was right. It's hard. And it is a lot of work. But you know what's also hard is running away our whole lives. You ever heard the saying, right? Like, yes, being healthy is hard. Exercising, eating right, getting enough sleep. It's hard. But you know what's also hard? Being unhealthy. Being out of breath. Having heart disease. Feeling stressed and not being able to cope. That's hard too. We get to choose our hard here. So what I would say is, yes, this work that we're going to talk about, it is hard. It's worth it. What I would say is you are worth it. You are worth the work. How many times is there something difficult, right, or something inconvenient that we do for a friend because we love them? Oh, I don't really want to go to this thing tonight. My friend invited me, so I'm gonna go, right? Or like, treating them to something, even though it's like way out of your way. Why do we do that? It's hard. It would be easier if we didn't. Why do we do that? It's because we love them. We know it's going to be hard, but it's worth it. The thing is, we can do that for ourselves too. Yes, it's hard, and it's worth it. And I'm not going to give you any like guru huge steps, right? Go to a forest, sing some ohms, and have a better relationship. Like, I'm not going to give you some wild steps like that. There's a way to make this very tangible. That's what I'm so excited to share with you. Right? So it is hard, but all we need is one step at a time. Right? I love this analogy that, if anyone's counting analogies, right? I love this analogy, right? Like, we can get from here to California. Even if in the middle of the night. And we don't need to know the whole path. All we need to do is see, in our car, we have headlights that show right in front of us. And all I can see at any given point from here to California is just 5 feet in front of me. And that's okay. I just take a baby step and then I can see 5 feet in front of me, and then I take another step. We don't need to know the whole path right now. We can just take a first step, and that is good enough. Okay. All right. The second thing I just want to address here is we're afraid that what we might find is something that will unleash this monster, right? Whether it's this guilt that we've done, or this disappointment and judgment of all that we've wasted. It's a real concern. I get it. What I can say is, in my work with other recovering addicts, in my work with my clients, I've worked with people who have done some pretty bad things. But I've yet to meet a bad person. People have done some terrible things. I've done some terrible things. I'll be the first to say, right? But there's a difference of doing something terrible and being something terrible. What I would say is, everyone I've come across with, even in the addiction world, right? People who are, losing custody of their kids, and people who are stealing and robbing and in jail and whatever, right? I can still see the good. These are good people that are in a lot of pain. And when we're in a lot of pain, we cause a lot of pain. So what I would say is, there's a spirit of self-compassion here. If you're afraid of, you're going to be a monster, if you really take a look, you're going to find that you're a monster. I can tell you that's not true. It's just not true. People are good. I'll just say this real quick. There's a quote by a woman whose son was killed in the Sandy Hook shooting. I love this quote. She says, there are two types of people in the world. Bless you. It's a woman whose son was killed. She said there's two types of people in the world. There's good people, and there's good people who are in pain. If she can say that, so just know that you fit in that, right? And part of this work and having a better relationship with ourselves is about alleviating us of some of this pain. So much pain. There's a way out. Okay, what do we get? Let's shift here, right? What do we get if we do this work? Well, pretty much the opposite of all of these, right? We get the confidence back, right? Where we're not so worried about what people are thinking about us. We're not so worried about how other people perceive us. We're not afraid to put ourselves out there and make a mistake, because we have an inner sense of worth, that we can accept that we're imperfect. And that's just part of the game. We can fall on our face, and it's okay, because we can have that self-compassion. All right. Self-esteem, right? Self-esteem, where we no longer have to put ourselves in situations with people who are tearing us down. I know I did that a lot, right? Because I thought I deserved it. I didn't deserve more than that. So some of that is knowing our own worth. Instead of addiction, right, we can find some recovery. We can find recovery, not just from the things that we're doing, but from the things we're holding in here, of maybe the guilt or the trauma. There's recovery from that. I'm a trauma survivor myself. And I can say that there is so much hope. And there is so much healing. And yes, it's very deep, and a lot of it's probably from childhood, and it was really messed up. What I found is that, well, I haven't found anyone who hasn't gone through trauma. So if that's something that you have and that it's weighing on you, know that you're not alone. Right? The sick secret is that we all have this pain, but no one teaches us how to talk about it. So we all think we're alone. That's why we're talking about it. Right? You're not alone. You are not alone. There is a way out. But trust me. Oh, my heart. Yes. Okay. Unfulfilling relationships. What do you get when you have that solid sense of self? Well, you get fulfilling relationships with other people because you're not looking for them to complete you. You're not looking for a relationship to be everything in your life because you're already a whole person. Where you're not as dependent on that relationship to survive, where you give up your values because you don't want to be alone. Right. Unhealthy patterns, right? Fill in the blank, whether that's addiction, whether that's self-sabotage, whatever it is, right? We don't have to do that anymore. Once we have a relationship with ourselves, we don't have to do that. Inability to set and keep boundaries. Man, again, when we have that solid sense of self, we have that love for ourselves. We're not, was anybody here last week? Yeah, last week we did the boundary exercise here, right? We don't let pain and like mean people in our circle because we love ourselves too much. We're good at this with other people. Anyone have any kids? Kids? Yeah? Anyone have like nephews? What's the other word? Nieces? Nibblings. If you didn't know, nibblings is the gender neutral. Nibblings. Nieces, nephews, right? Anybody have some? It's just young kids in their life, right? How protective are we of those kids? If anyone even tried to get close to hurt this little one, oh my God. Mama and Papa Bear in us would come out and like, whoa, shut it down. Because we love this little one. They are precious. They're not perfect, but we love them. We're here to protect them. What I would say is there's also that little one in each of us. And we are the only ones who will be able to protect it, to take care of it. Again, that's this relationship with ourselves, right? So we can set boundaries to protect ourselves. Also the insecurities, right? It comes back to the confidence, right? I don't have to be so nervous about how everyone thinks of me. Or, you know, if I go on a date, right? Like, are they gonna like me? Oh, I hope they like me. You know, be able to just be myself. Because if they don't like me, it's okay. Because I like me. But notice if I don't like me, there's a lot riding on that date. Right? They better like me. No wonder I'm so anxious. Right? I'm gonna do everything I can. And then if they don't, oh my God, of course I'm heartbroken. Versus, you know, I am who I am. And I'm okay with it. And I'm not gonna be the perfect fit for everybody, and that's okay. Okay, so that's what's at stake here. That's what we're playing for. All right, so let's get into action about this, right? 3 main steps that I find in creating this relationship for ourselves. And you can think of this like a relationship with anybody, right? If I'm, anybody here married? It's marriage, right? So you can look at it in that way, right? Well, before you get married, you know, all right, so there are some exceptions, but normally you love this person before you get married. there are arranged marriages, right? But whatever, right? So you gotta love this person before you get married. Before you love this person, you have to like this person. Right? And what has to happen before you can even like someone? Say again?
Just like yourself,
Say again?
just like yourself.
That would be ideal, for sure. Anyone, did somebody else have something?
But you have to know.
You don't know. I can't like you if I don't know you. So the first step here in our journey of self-discovery is getting to know ourselves. That's step one. The thing is, we go to school and they teach us about things that we can do. Nobody helps us learn who we are. Right? We might find religion or things like that. They show us like who to be, how to act. But no one shows us who we are. So, all right, on your journal, I want you to put the number 1. Right, for this is the first step. And I want you to write 3 things to describe who you are. Who is Michael? Who is Katie? Who is Heidi? Who is Patricia? Fuck, man. I don't even know like where I am. I'm gonna bring my own clock next time. Who are you? How would you describe it? We're just trying to do a quick overview here, right? You could probably do each of these exercises like really in depth. That's part of what I do with my clients. But right now, we're just trying to like get a tip of the iceberg, a little something, something. All right, who wants to share? If someone doesn't know who you are, right? How would you say, right? What would you say? Who are you? Yeah, Katie.
I have a clear dog mom. Friend and
Wanderer.
one.
Wonder. Say that nice fast. Wanderer. I love it. Right? That says a lot about you. Who else has something? Who else wants to share?
I'm creative, I'm stern,
Creative, stern, and kind. I love that. I love that. I love that. That's part of the beauty here is like the mix of the characteristics is part of what makes us special. It's really cool. Who else wants to share?
Persevering, insightful, and
Persevering, insightful, kind. It's beautiful. It's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to share?
I will.
Yeah. What was your name, by the way?
Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi.
I'm funny and smart and I'm a visionary.
I like that. Thinking forward. Huh. Very good. Very good. Love that. Anyone else want to share? Yeah, hi.
passionate, adventurer, and artist.
Passionate, adventurer, and artist. Love that. Passionate for adventure, passionate for art. Yes, by the way, those are the best pens you can find, beautiful. Let's get a sponsorship. Okay. Quick show of hands. the 3 things that you just wrote, are those things that you like about yourself? If you like those things about yourself, raise your hand. Yeah? Not for you? Not really? Mm. Right, right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm so glad you're here. Greg, right? Right. And there's a beauty in, I'm a writer, right? So when I look at an empty page, it's in some way like so overwhelming. But in some way, it's like, who knows what's about to be here? It's like all this opportunity is open. So the fact that you're an empty vessel here, to me, that just speaks to, again, this awareness of like, I'm open. I need to find something, and something's about to fill me here. So I'm so glad you're here. Let's work on filling the bottom of that vessel, and then we can fill it up. We'll catch up the whole person. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so for most of us, what we already wrote are things that we like about ourselves. Really good. When I started this journey about 4 years ago, I was coming out of a relationship that was very unhealthy, very dysfunctional, codependent, manipulative, all of that, right? So by the time I got out of it, and I was like hitting this low, because that didn't work, the house didn't work, all of this, right? I was like, I don't even know who I am. So what I did is I got this little journal. This is the journal that I have. And what I would do is I would just start writing about the things that I like. So I remember this first entry because I came home from shopping and I noticed a whole bunch of different foods that I had. And I was like, oh, I like vinegary foods. I didn't know that. I like green. Oh, that's my favorite color. I like silver and not gold. I like wooden furniture. It was one day I looked around my apartment. I was like, oh, everything's wood. Oh, I guess I like wood. I like letters and cards. I like not having the TV on. I like connecting with people. I like it when my handwriting comes out legible, which this time it did not. I like the scent of lavender. I like salmon. I like the feeling after a good dog training session. The feeling after a good stretch session. A day off work. A vacuumed car. Desserts. Glass Tupperware. And once you go glass, you never go back. You never, amen, right? We know, right? So this was part of my journey. I didn't even know what I liked. I didn't know who I was. So what I did is I created a journal. Every time I just noticed something that was exciting or that I liked, I started writing it down. And then at the end, I started realizing like, oh, yeah, I know some of the things I like. I know, starting to get to know myself. Remember, that's the first step, is just to get to know. So I started this little journal, right? Part of this as well is part of the things I like about myself. Oh, I like connecting. I'm someone who connects with people. I express gratitude to people. I like being spontaneous, finishing a book, having a date, and being honest about how I felt about it. Bok choy, when I can be there for someone. Chess. There's some funny ones in here somewhere. Being braless. Girls. Skateboarding, drumming. When I'm in a store and I'm not in a rush. Christmas cards. When I get in bed before 9 or 10 p.m. Okay, so what I would say is this is the first step. This was the first step for me, is let's do some digging. Let's just get to know who we are. So I'd encourage you, I have some with me. So if y'all would like one, happy to share, just come up to me after and I'm glad to share. But first step is, let's just start documenting who the heck are we? Let's notice it over time. Okay, so that's step one, is getting to know ourselves. Step two. We wanna start to actually accept ourselves. Right, we don't just know ourselves, but now we're trying to accept ourselves. There's something that we can really take in. Right, the difference between getting to know and accepting, right? For a while, I knew that I probably wasn't straight, but I didn't like it. I wasn't okay with it. Wasn't until I accepted it that it was like, oh, okay, this is who I am. That's a different stage. So I don't have the other journal, but for accepting ourselves, what I did is I had to start seeing, how does everyone else see me? Because apparently my way of seeing myself is all messed up. I think I'm the scum of the earth. And like, again, I'm like holding myself to these high expectations. I can't trust what's in here, is what I realized. Not yet. So what I did is I have another journal. And I call it the Proof of Power journal. Because it's really powerful, and there's proof in it. And the rule is that none of the words in that journal are my own words. So I'll tell you how this works. Whenever somebody would say something about me in passing, right? When I'm at work and they're like, oh, you're so reliable, I would write it down. You are so reliable. And somebody else is like, oh, you're so thoughtful. Thank you for doing that. How often do we just brush it away? Right? Like, oh yeah, no, it's not good. I would write it down, take a mental note, and I would write it down. You are so thoughtful. We don't have to agree, we don't have to like it. But when people are saying these positive things about ourselves, we have to write it down. Now you might ask, well, what if people say negative things about us? Should we write that too? I would say no. We already have enough of that in here. We got that part covered. We're trying to find another perspective here. So I have a whole journal of just other people's words about me. And man, when you start to have pages of people sharing what they see in you, unprompted, it's not like I asked them, hey, I'm writing a journal, what would you say? This is just in normal life, right? I post something online and they say like, oh, you're so adventurous. Okay, I guess I gotta put it. Oh, you look beautiful. Okay, I guess I gotta put it. Man, when you start looking at pages and pages of all these different people who are not in cahoots, it's not like they're all talking to each other to conspire. And you start seeing the common patterns and trends, something there changes everything. And you realize, oh, I'm the one with the foggy glasses that isn't seeing things accurately. Oh, maybe I should clean my glasses a little bit because no one else thinks I'm a jerk. I'm the only one who does. All right. So that would be journal number 2. Journal number 1, journal number 2, right? 1 to talk about the things you like about yourself. Number 2 under acceptance is the Proof of Power journal. Other people's words only. None of your words are allowed in it. To me, that just gives so much power because it's easy for me to write off what I say about myself. But when it's other people, I can actually hold it in like high esteem. All right, we're here at the third part, folks. We've gotten to know ourselves. We've learned to accept ourselves. The third part is we're going to put love in action. Love in action. That's what we're really looking for here. So what does that mean? Actually, if we love ourselves, put it in action. Take care of ourselves. What might that look like?
Giving yourself time to decompress after a long day of work. Either reading a book or just sitting there in silence or just taking a bath, just decompress away before you actually go and have a conversation with you that day. You don't wanna go in straight into another conversation because that day, trying to be on that conversation, you're gonna put it on someone else.
Yeah.
So giving yourself that time to decompress or actually moving on to another situation.
Love that. How many times do we tell ourselves like, no, it's fine, I'm fine. Right, like, we're tired. Give yourself a break. You were just there at 8 hours, probably at a job you don't like very much. Like, give yourself a minute. Right? So totally, right? Like, that's part of like self-care, right? Like taking care of yourself. What are some other ways that we can show love to ourselves? Boundaries. Yeah. So setting boundaries to protect ourselves, right? That's action. That's not just me saying, okay, I love myself today. Right? It's like, no. Here's an action I'm taking to show that I love myself. Here's a toxic person, and hey, I'm not letting them in my life today. Yeah, great example. What are some other ways that we can show love to ourselves?
Basically taking care of ourselves, whether it be going to work out or going to that,
Going to the doctor when we feel sick, my friend. Yes. Yeah. Again, right? Like if I was in charge of taking care of this little one, and this little one was feeling a little sick, I'm not gonna tell her, toughen it up, everything's fine. I'm gonna be like, what's up? Oh my god. Let's get and let's go take you to the doctor. Right? How much kinder are we to other people than to ourselves? We're like, no, it's fine. I don't want to. No, I'm fine. Especially the guys in here, right? Like, how much of a stigma is there, right? Of like, no, we just have to tough it out. Yeah. When I think of how to put love in action to myself, I think of what I love most about friends in my life. And then doing that for myself. So just as we wrap up here, what I love most about friends is when they're able to hold space for me. When I'm feeling some feelings, they might not be happy feelings, they might be really sad feelings, they might be feeling really heavy. And they don't tell me, oh, everything's fine, don't cry, everything's blah, blah, blah. They sit there with me and I say, what's going on? I hear you. I feel you. I'm here with you. We're gonna get through this. And they let me share with them, honestly, without me needing to mute my feelings. I feel that one. So what that means for me is I'm allowed to feel my feelings. How often do we feel something and we're the first one to say, no, I shouldn't feel that way. I'm really tired after work, but I should go do all this stuff. What would it look like to be like, hey, okay, maybe we need to change plans tonight because I'm really tired. I'm gonna take care of myself. Or when I'm in moments of grief and I'm not at my best. Maybe I'm just really just not feeling that great because I'm grieving. And I want it to be over already, but it's not. Like, the loving thing I can do is show myself some self-compassion. Like, okay. All right. We don't have to like this, but we're going through some hard stuff. And it's okay. I'm not going to put more pressure on you to feel better right away. Oh, anyone ever have someone in their life that does that? Where they just want you to be better right away. They want to fix it right away. See, I had to just take a deep breath. Just thinking about it. Right? So many times we do that to ourselves. It's like we're uncomfortable feeling feelings. So part of the journey here is letting ourselves feel the feelings. I'll tell you a quick story, right? Part of how I knew that I was getting to be more of a friend to myself is there was a day that I was just feeling off. I don't know what it was. I was just like not feeling good. I was sad. I was just like low energy. And what I do, I don't know why this like speaks to my heart, is I sit on my bed with my legs dangling. And I sit there and I like imagine myself right there, like just like sitting there with me. And I didn't know what was going on. I was just like, hey, what's going on? How you doing? What's the matter? Where I can even just let myself, and I started crying right then, like it all just came out. And you might think, oh, that's terrible. But no, that's what was already inside, and I just let it out because I had to create space for it. Notice that's very different from, why are you upset? What's wrong? Start coming with like this gentle, loving compassion. Okay. So that's how we love ourselves in action. It's these little steps over and over and over and over. The first thing that I did the year that I decided this was going to be my year to learn how to love myself is I made a pact to myself. And I said, you know, when I'm out in public and I really have to pee, normally what I do is I hold it, and I say like, I'll be home soon. I said, you know what, this year, when I have to pee in public, I'm gonna go use the restroom. I don't care where I am. Y'all feel me? Y'all feel me? I said, you know what? And it doesn't matter. What if I'm out to coffee with someone? And it's like, I don't want to bother them. We only have so much time together. I don't want to like, you know, have them sit alone while I go. And I said, you know what? This year, I'm gonna sounds silly, but that was like what I needed to start to tune inward. No one else may know, but I know. And that's the magic of this stuff, is we can tell all the difference. And that's the magic of this journey, is it changes everything by just changing what's in here and addressing here, and by patching the hole that's in the bottom of the bucket. All of a sudden, it doesn't take much in that bucket for me to be happy. I'm giddy just like climbing under my sheets at night, because I'm like, I love this part of the day. So that's the magic here. So I would encourage you, I would invite you to go on this journey of self-discovery. It's not a destination. It's not somewhere that you arrive at. It's not like a marriage, right? You arrive at a place and then you're done. No, you're working at it. You're in a relationship, right? I'm still working on that relationship today. But I can tell you that it's the most worthwhile, rewarding, fulfilling relationship that I've ever been in. And it changes everything. So I would invite y'all to go on that journey as well. That's all that I have. So what I'll do, oh, now we are over time, but I just want to open it up. If anybody has any questions, or if anybody has any comments, or anything that is still lingering for them, we can have some time just to kind of casually talk about it. That's all I have.